Hi, and welcome to The People First, a new podcast hosted by me, Sig Leslie-Casselman. I wanted to create a safe space and platform for friends, community members, and changemakers to chat about current events, lived experiences, and the things that drive them the most. On this podcast, I will be interviewing weekly guests who are ready to share their thoughts. Thank you for joining us today on the People First podcast. I'm your host, Sig. And with me today is a very special friend, Tresea, and she's going to share her lived experience with us with a cancer diagnosis. Tresea, thank you so much for being my guest today. And can you please introduce yourself to us and tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Tresea, obviously. I I am 50 years old, and 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma. And yeah, it left me a little disabled. So there's not much more to say about myself after that now.
Oh, yes. It's a very scary diagnosis. Are you able to tell us a little bit about how you found out?
So it's kind of a little long story, and I'm going to share the whole thing because I think it's very uh, needing to know. My cousin felt some lumps in her breast, and she lives in Kingston, so she went directly to the Kingston Hospital. And at the Kingston Hospital, they have a cancer center. So they took her lumps very seriously and immediately went to biopsy them and did a mammogram. Now, through the biopsy, they found that the lumps she had felt were actually cysts because they started to drain. But because of the mammogram, they found a lump under her chest muscle that they would have never seen otherwise. So one thing brought her to find out about the cancer. And then, um, so her oncologist had suggested that she tells all of her female cousins to go and have a mammogram. So I went in on the Friday, and the following Tuesday, I got a call that something was found uh, that was odd in my mammogram, and I had to go back for another one along with an ultrasound.
Oh, that's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. That must have been really scary to be waiting for that time to go back and to get more results. What were you feeling during that time? Do you remember?
Panic.
Yeah.
Something in my head told me it was cancer. I will tell you, a lot of the times when you go for a mammogram and they find something that is a little misshapen or odd in your mammogram, it's a higher percentage of a chance that it's nothing. Because as women, we do end up with like a lot of fatty tissue, internal cysts, things like that, that we're not aware of. So most of the time, it turns out to be nothing to worry about, but something in my head told me it was. So I started panicking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine a lot of us probably would do the same, myself included. Did you have anybody with you during this time?
No,
Or did you were alone most of the time? Like your partner was he working or
well, so Arm had to work. I was still working at Dollar Tree when I was first diagnosed. So I was diagnosed, it started in October, and I didn't get my full diagnosis until the beginning of December.
okay. Yeah.
Um, and then I left Dollar Tree at the end of December because customers are rude, and, and they were complaining over a 25-cent jump. And I thought to myself, if all you have to worry about is paying 25 cents more for something, you don't have real problems.
That's a really valid point that we never really know what people are going through in their lives. And we probably encounter more of that than we realize with everybody that we pass by in public and just going to the grocery stores. And yeah, that's a good point. It's something to think about for sure. So how would you say, like, what? Was the next step then? So I'm assuming the next step would be then you have your diagnosis, then you're going to look into what treatment options you have.
So everybody is different as far as breast cancer is concerned. I will also state until you've had breast cancer or you've known somebody that's had breast cancer, you don't actually realize how many different forms of breast cancer there are because they're not all the same. They all have different names. And then after you figure out the type of breast cancer you have, it's either hormone positive or hormone negative. Um, so that will also come into play as to what kind of a treatment plan you have to go through. So I went through the mammogram with the ultrasound. After that, I went through an ultrasound guided biopsy because my cancer had already moved its way into my lymph nodes. And so they had to biopsy my lymph nodes as well as my breast. And then after that biopsy, the doctor accidentally told me it was cancer without it being checked, like tested. Because they had to do a mammogram right after to make sure that the seeds that they put in were in the right place. So they put in seeds so that when you start your radiation, they can see where it is and aim it properly. It's just tiny, tiny metal. They're smaller than a grass seed that they put in. And so we did that part, um and then after that, I went for a I went for a lumpectomy, and then he had removed my cancer from both my underarm and my breast. And in between, I had seen my oncologist a few times, and she thought I would be okay to just go straight through for radiation after. But because of my age, mine was hormone positive, and I was still having my periods. I ended up having to do chemo as well. So I did the my whole treatment was the um lumpec, lump, lumpectomy, chemo, radiation, then full hysterectomy.
That sounds like a lot, Teresa. That was a lot to go through.
Yeah.
And I've been following along your journey on Facebook as your Facebook friend as well. And occasionally I popped on and would chat with you. But that's only a small glimpse of what you were going through. And I have somebody close to me who's also had an experience with a type of cancer. Um, and they struggle even to today, even though it was quite some time ago, this diagnosis and treatment. Um, and something that struck me with your Facebook posts was that a lot of the time they're just positive, and filled with life and just strength. You have so much strength when you're posting your experiences. And so, are you able to share with us what motivates you? What keeps you so strong?
Okay, so this is not going to be the answer you were hoping to hear, because it's nothing. I'm bipolar. I've been bipolar my whole life. My mask comes very naturally to me. I know when I need it. I know when other people need my mask. Not everybody can deal with watching their daughter, their friend, their wife, their mother go through something like that. And I knew when I could be honest and when I had to hide stuff. And I hid a lot. I hid probably a good 90% of everything I went through. Uh, Hi, Bob. Um, so it's when I've had other cancer patients reach out to me because they see the same thing and they're like, I want to know how to get through it. And um, that when they message me, I will be 100% honest, and I will explain everything exactly the way it is, dry and cut. Um, but the one thing that probably did keep me from going absolutely crazy was I never thought of it as I had cancer. I thought of it as I had an infection in my breast and I needed to do these treatments to kill that infection. And that's what got me through. I kind of went on autopilot and did everything they told me to do. And I mean, I drove myself to treatments. I drove myself home from treatments. I was very fortunate. Not everybody knows. So we only have various cancer centers throughout Ontario, and for most of us, it's at least an hour drive. So I participated in the one in Kingston, and I had to do my first. So you do two different chemos with breast cancer most of the time. Sometimes it's more chemos than that. I only had to do two. So my first chemo treatment of each type, I had to go to Kingston for, but the rest I was able to do here in Brockville at the hospital because they have a whatever unit. You would know the name of it, Sig. I do not know the name at the moment. Um, but they have a unit where you can go in and you can do your iron infusions, all sorts of infusions, and you can also do your chemo there. I also still have one more Zometa infusion to do there. The Zometa is to um, stop my bones from hurting, but also stop from cancer from entering my bones. So I act like it's a condom on my bones, kind of protects it and bounces everything off. So I have one more infusion of that to do, and I think that's in September. But yeah, that's the way you just ignore that you have it.
Well, that no, that's thank you for sharing. There's a lot to unpack with that. So yes, definitely. Just touching on the mental health portion. So I am a mental health nurse. So I do know a little more on that side of things, and I really, really appreciate you sharing your experiences, and your struggles, and some insight with how your mental health comes into play with this as well. Yeah, thank you for your honesty with that. Um, and I think whether you meant to or not, even just the way that you um, came through on your Facebook posts, it did strike it as being really strong and really just eager to continue. And I think that did help a lot of people. I was definitely inspired as well. So I hope that that leaves you with something that whether you meant to or not, that you still were able to inspire others and to keep going forward. And um, thank you again for sharing that. So yes, there's yeah, that was a lot to unpack. So thinking of your time in the hospitals, throughout the whole healthcare system, really, how do you feel? How did that work for you as a woman going through the system? Did you feel supported by doctors, no nurses, other practitioners? How did that experience go for you?
Oh, I'm going to tell you, I am a fortunate one, an extremely fortunate one. So I dealt with four totally different areas. So I dealt with Brockville Hospital, I dealt with Perth Hospital, I dealt with Smith Falls Hospital, and Kingston Hospital for my entire treatments and every surgery. I started off obviously with my family doctor who sent me to, he asked me if I wanted to go to Ottawa or Kingston. So I went to Kingston. Um, I had an amazing oncologist. Her name is Dr. Swoboda. Uh, Acts absolutely amazing. Her husband also works in the emergency room at the Kingston Hospital, so don't get the two confused. Um, but yeah, she is phenomenal. It's a teaching hospital, so you also end up with like a lot of new students, and they were great, very open minded. I Sig, you know me a little bit more than the average person, so I have a little bit of a perverted side of my brain, and I say things out loud I really shouldn't. And they all took me with a grain of salt, and life was really good. And then I had my surgeon. He was in Perth. He is the one that removed my cancer because my family doctor reminded me that that was also one of my choices. I didn't have to go with a cancer surgeon. I could pick my surgeon, and I've had a surgeon for many years that has done different things for me. And I'm very comfortable with him because he's got a very likewise sense of humor as I do. So I saw him, and then, yeah, back to my oncologist. And then I ended up with a radiation oncologist. Her name is Dr. Ashworth. Normally, by this point, it's been 3 years. It'll be 3 years in November since I've been done my radiation. And they normally have left your side by now. And she still calls me every 3 months to check on me because my mental health did go a little low. And to be honest with you, because she called me just the other day, and when I answered, she's like, "Oh my God, you sound like Tresea today." So she was very happy I'm starting to come back. Um, but yeah, so I had her, and then I had Dr. Wang, the gynecologist at Brockville Hospital. He's leaving us now. But I had him for my hysterectomy. He excellent bedside manner. I could not have asked for a better person. And yeah, I still get treated very, very well from everybody that I've dealt with. Um, I know of some really horrible stories within the healthcare in regards to cancer, but I was very fortunate. I had very good people.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I am happy to hear that because we do hear a lot of the bad stories, but it is also good to hear about the good experiences. And certainly that's something that I would imagine most of us would want if we were going through similar experiences. So yeah, I'm glad it was positive for you. So if you had advice that you could give anybody really, but even specifically for women who may be seeing um, some similar experiences coming up, what advice would you give?
So, if you are embarking on a cancer journey, um, listen to your oncologist. Um, I mean, friends are going to come to you and explain to you about your diet, how your diet caused it, how if you take this mineral or this natural path thing, it's going to fix it. It may not. I really don't know. It wasn't a route I took. But definitely speak to your oncologist about everything that you're planning on doing because there are certain things. So if you're hormone positive, you've got to be careful which anything you take because that can make your hormones work when if your hormones are going strong, they're going to bring your cancer back. So there's certain things you really have to be careful of. So definitely talk to your oncologist. All your choices you make are your own, whether you want the surgery, whether you want chemo, whether you want radiation. They are your choices and your choices alone. Do not let anybody interfere. No family, nobody. That's a mind thing of your own. Um, Whatever you decide to do it's the best. There's a lot of Facebook support groups for all types of cancer. Join them. You'll have people that have been through it and are just starting it. And the fear is real. The PTSD of cancer is real. Um, and nobody understands it more than somebody else that's been through it. Uh, Eat. Don't worry if you're eating sugar. Eat it. If your stomach can handle it, eat it. Uh, During cancer treatment, if you decide to go through chemo, that is not your time to worry about how much you weigh, what clothes fit you. Um, Make sure you eat a lot of proteins. the proteins is what keeps your cells high to allow you to have chemo, because your white blood cells need to be at a certain number in order to accept the next treatment. Um, but yeah, that's not a dieting time. Make sure you get all the protein into you, anything you can eat. I survived on steak and chocolate pudding. I mean, it worked for me. Uh, yeah. And just listen to yourself, rest when you can, rest when you want. Don't worry if your house is a mess. Nothing is more important than your mental health, and stick by yourself. Like, stick true to yourself is really what I wanted to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's great advice. Thank you. And also, in addition to that, too, everybody's path and journey, as you said, would be different. So listening to your doctor, and if there are any other strategies or things that you need to be following to follow through with your doctor on those too, as we all may have different experiences for sure. So going forward and trying to end things on a positive note, what are some things that you're doing right now outside of the experience that you shared with us today? Is there anything you want to talk about? Any exciting new projects you may be working on?
So what I'm doing now, partially because of the cancer treatment, is or the cancer, not the treatment, sorry. With hormone positive cancer, I did have a full hysterectomy to stop my estrogen. Um, and I didn't know this about the female anatomy until all of this, that your kidneys actually put out a estrogen as well, and it gets stored into your fat. So the more estrogen my body holds, the higher chance of reoccurrence I have. And I've been a heavier girl for 29 years or so. So anyway, I'm going for a gastric bypass surgery to lower my weight, and it will also lower my chances of reoccurrence. So I'm very excited about that.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. So that'll be a new, interesting journey to follow along with you, and
Yeah,
see progress. And I wish you the best
always.
in it. Okay, well, Teresa, do you have anything else that you want to add before we end our talk today?
I can't really think of anything, to be honest with you. So I had mentioned to you before we did this. So chemo kind of left me with a chemo fog brain. And so sometimes I remember things, and I will forget words. And then because of the hysterectomy, I now have menopausal brain. So it does the same thing. And yeah, so I think I actually got through that pretty well today without forgetting too much. And I'm pretty happy about that.
You did excellent. You are a natural. So thank you again so much, Teresa, for your time. Thank you for joining us and sharing your lived experiences. And we do wish you the best in the future. I look forward to following you along more in Facebook. And you had something else to add?
I just did want to say that for my first few appointments with my oncologist, my two best girlfriends had come with me for a couple of appointments, and like, I wasn't always alone by any stretch. I did make it seem that way, but I wasn't. I did do my chemos by myself, but that was my personal choice, because that was probably the only time I didn't have to put a mask on, and it was more relaxing for me to do it that way. But yeah, so I wasn't always alone by any chance. I had like a huge support system, and I'm very happy. My best friends were the best people in the whole wide world. One of them had a nap with me in this bed one night when I wasn't feeling too good. So yeah, make sure that you hold on to your support people too.
Aw, yeah, besties are the best for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today. And for my listeners, if you could tune in again, maybe next week or so, I hope to have another guest on, is sharing their lived experiences and thoughts for everybody to hone in on and listen and learn and grow from. So thank you again for joining today, and have a great day, and we'll catch up again later.
You too, Sunshine.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.